Zero. I didn't say anything to him. I just went along. But they asked me if I thought he used excessive force. And so my answer was, no, I wouldn't say that. I would have just handled it a little differently. Just like that. My captain commences to say, so you, a brand new officer, think you know better than this 7-year veteran officer? And again, my response was, no, I didn't say that either, but I know my people. Her response was this, and this is what made me know something was up. She said, what do you mean your people? And I just kind of go about it thinking, oh shit, like I shouldn't have said that. But still staying calm and cool. Like that's literally what went through my head. Or that was at least my visceral response on the inside. And she said, what do you mean your people? And I said, well, inner city blacks. I mean, this is my neighborhood. We grew up with people like this. I know this man wasn't being threatening to me. He was just being expressive, emotional. And yes, people can get out of hand when they get emotional, but this wasn't that situation. I don't remember exactly how we ended the conversation, but from that point on in my break-in period, after I said, I know my people, that situation went downhill fast. I was further evaluated, not trained, and my anxiety level is super high right now because I can feel all of this. Every little mess up is being documented, and it was clear to me that I was kind of on the downslide. So later on, several weeks later, my captain calls me in and she asks me and says, hey, so how do you think you're doing? And I say, well, I think I'm doing good. You know, I made plenty of mistakes, but I've never made the same mistake twice. Constantly growing and learning, blah, 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 whatever else I said. That's the part I really remember. And so she says, well, we don't think you're doing too well, and we're going to recommend your termination. What? So they're basically telling me they're going to recommend that I be fired. So my heart sinks, stomach's curdling, whatever, all type of nerves. And I guess I had some funny look on my face because I was smirking. I can't even recreate it. Because she said, you with your smirk on your face, kind of being insubordinate or something like that. Because I, mind you, at the same time, am like, I don't really know what to say or do, but she says, maybe you should resign. That way you can retain your certification and such and such and such. Well, at that moment, I remember something that an older black sergeant, before I even went into the academy, advised me. And in the context, it didn't make sense, but it was, whatever you do, don't quit. So I thought that was kind of strange at the time, but when he told me that, I was like, all right, well, whatever that means. I'm not gonna quit. I'm not a quitter. And in that moment with my captain, though, that came up in my mind when she told me to resign, or was suggesting that I resign. Now, I told her I wasn't going to resign. Kind of an awkward moment. She told me I was being insubordinate, and then I had to go start my shift. That was at the beginning of the shift one day. I get in the car, my FTO kind of starts playing buddy-buddy and is like, hey, you know, this job isn't for everybody, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you should resign. That way you can keep your certification and all your hours and everything. Maybe go work for a smaller municipality. And that's when I got pissed. And I just said, man to man, I know this job is not rocket science and that I can do this job. So I'm not resigning. And if you don't think I am good enough to do this job, why would you want me to go somewhere else and do it? It just didn't make sense to me. So I told him I wasn't resigning, and then he says, well, all right then.